Those are nice trousers you're wearing.
Yes, Crystal made them for me.
Perhaps you should use a pattern in future. Have you got a jacket to match?
Yes.
Where is it?
Down there.
We're improvising now, so... Never improvise with a civil servant, that's my advice. Because you've got rubber gloves on. Now, where are we? Oh, yes. About your trousers. There's no need to take them off, Blake. They're not that bad.
Yes, but I insist. You're driving me wild with desire.
You see, you nearly missed out that word wild then. You're driving me with desire. It's a streetcar named Desire, but you can't drive someone with desire. Get a grip on yourself, Blake.
Do you remember the first words I ever spoke to you?
No, I don't.
My name's Blake Carrington, but you can call me Big Knob.
Yes. I was wondering which word you might miss out of that line. Fortunately, we had a full house for that one. You can call me Big, you could have had. And then you offered me a job as your secretary.
I needed someone to help me with my enormous mail.
Yes, I think you're overemphasizing the... That's a throwaway line, really. Indeed, you threw it away. It was nothing I couldn't handle. Now, this is your big speech here. I don't want you to get a bit worked up, a bit emotive, and project to the back of the auditorium.
I can't stand it anymore, Alexis. I can't stand your world of clutch bags and slingbacks. I can't go on. I'm a wreck, a ruin, and a shrine to despair. Leave me. Leave me. There's only one thing that will make me feel better now, and that's to sing that old Roger Whittaker classic. I'm going to leave old Durham town at the top of my voice.
Leaving me.
I'm old Durham town. Old Durham town. I'm going to leave old Durham town, and that's leaving's gonna get me down.
The lovely David. David, we have some flowers to give you. And a fudge finger. And this special statuette of my dog, Fanny the Wonder Dog, for you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. That's my dog, Fanny, that, well, as you know, I used to work with her, and then she retired. She had enough, so she retired. Well, it's sad for us, I know, but she's much happier. I think that what it was, meeting people like Ben Elton and Jonathan Ross, was all very well. But quite frankly, at the end of the day, she'd rather have her nose stuck up some dog's bum in the park. And you have to appreciate her point of view, I think. I know I do. I worry about her, though. She's staying in Swindon at the moment with my sister. And my sister has got this peculiar cat called Polly. Now, Polly was perfectly all right when she was a kitten, just used to bounce around the place like kittens do. And one day my sister came downstairs and she thought, well, where's the cat? And she opened the back door and Polly walked in like this. And my sister thought, well, that's not right. I better take her to the vet. So she took Polly to the vet, and the vet said, well, that's not right. She said, what's wrong with Polly? He said, I'm afraid Polly has had a stroke. She said, well, I know that, but what's wrong with her? He said, no, you don't understand. He said, I'm going to have to put Polly to sleep. And she said, no, don't do that. I'll take her home. Maybe she'll get better. And she's had this cat for about 6 months now. There's no change, and it seems to be all right. It's still... And Fanny just stares at it in disbelief. Not that Fanny is the most psychologically sound of creatures herself. When Fanny came on heat, she used to approach dogs backwards. Straight down to the nitty-gritty. Then it's the wheelbarrow that's had a very unfortunate surprise. I was sitting on a plane recently. The reason I was sitting on an aeroplane is quite interesting. My manager rang me up and he said, you've been offered an interesting bit of work. Would you like to do this year a pantomime in Reading with Linda Lusardi? And when I heard the news, I was physically sick. Spontaneous projectile vomiting. I thought I was overreacting slightly. I thought you need a holiday, so there I was on this aeroplane and just looking forward to the baggage reclaim. Because I love a baggage reclaim. Very often the highlight of the holiday for me. I think that being a homosexual, I haven't bred any children at all, but I imagine that waiting for your children to come out of school at 3:30 is really much the same sensation as waiting for the baggage reclaim. Correct me if I'm wrong. I wouldn't know. My suitcase has always been a bit of a minx, though. Always the last one through the tunnel. Comes bounding through, buckles all undone. Waving some stupid scribble he's done of the drawing of the hold. Anyway, I was actually on my way to Thailand. I wanted to experience the Golden Mount. Turns out to be a Buddhist temple on a hill. I'd gone all that way under a terrible misapprehension. And then I got terrible sunburn. I mean, my skin all burned and then peeled away. Came away from me in great big shafts and just sort of lay about me on the floor. I thought I was turning into a used condom for a couple of days. I was just sitting there looking forward to all this, and I felt something wet on my cheek. And for one awful moment, I thought that the air steward had gobbed at me. That was my immediate reaction. A 15-hour flight, and we hadn't got on at all well, unfortunately. His seafood ravioli was a disgrace, and I told him. I said, I'm not eating that. He said, would you like to see the chef? Which I thought was a bit facetious, really. And then the in-flight movie, it was one I had seen several times, and I very politely pointed this out. So I assumed that the poor man had finally snapped and was taking his revenge the only way he knew how, by expectorating on the passengers. But then I realized it wasn't gob on my cheek at all. It was a tear. A tear had forced its way out of my eye. It was just running down my cheek like this. And the woman sitting next to me noticed. We'd been chatting away. She was very friendly, in fact. Well, a bit over-friendly, really. I found her slightly irritating, but she noticed. Well, 15 hours, she goes on and on, not a moment's peace. I'd sit there with my Walkman on, and she'd lift up one of the ears and... That's taking it a bit far, I think. I went to the toilet and she came round the S-bend. she was a bit trying. Anyway, of course, eagle-eyed woman here, she noticed everything. And she noticed this tear on my cheek. And she looked at me concerned and offered me a sandwich. Well, I took the sandwich and I wiped my face with it. Sat there with bits of tuna fish all around here. Margarine all in my hair. She said, "Oh, you've got margarine in your hair." I said, "Leave me alone." She said... I was overacting slightly, perhaps. She said, "You're upset about something, aren't you?" I said, "Yes." She said, "What is it?" I said, "Well, it's private, if you don't mind." She said, "Oh, tell me about it." I said, "It's a very sad story. You won't be glad I told you." She said, "Tell me anyway." So I did. "Russell, if I'm going to tell this story, could I have my cape of sorrow, please?" Without further ado, if I'm going to get maudlin, I'll want my cape of sorrow on, if you wouldn't mind bearing with me. A change of cape would be ideal. Thank you, Russell. Going to take the other one away as well. So there I was, and... Oh, the lovely Michael again. He's got a day job, you know, selling heroin to children. It's the sordid side of show business. Anyway, she said, "Tell me the story," and I said, "Well, you plug your guitar in and I will." So I did. The story involved a bricklayer called Wayne. Wayne was married to his work, though, unfortunately. I don't think I ever saw Wayne without a trowel in his hand, and we really didn't get on at all well. He used to come in at all hours, expecting me to rinse out his tool bag, and I wasn't having it. One day we had a flaming row, and Wayne walked out of my life, and I had to face the fact that he had dropped me. She said, "Well, how had he dropped you?" I said, "Well, I'll tell you."
Drop me like a brick.
Like a brick.
Drop me like a brick.
A piece of concrete. A brick.
Drop me like a brick.
We didn't click. You took me sailing on your boat. We hadn't had a lot to drink. You'd been keeping me afloat. I didn't think you'd let me sink. Any port in any storm was my philosophy. I thought your love would keep me warm. But then you dropped me.
Drop me like a brick.
I fell out of your hod, perhaps.
Drop me like a brick.
You dropped me like a brick.
Drop me like a brick.
We didn't click. You had the rudder in your hands. Not only the waves were swelling, but you ran out of fuel now. Was that planned? There's just no way of knowing. You kissed me on the cheek. Then you were gone within a week, I think it was. Oh well.
Drop me like a brick.
You dropped me like a brick.
Drop me like a brick.
Like a brick.
Drop me like a brick.
We didn't click. Suddenly I wasn't alone anymore. A whistling gentleman had come to visit me. And he was wearing a safari jacket. I can see who it is now. It's the lovely Roger. Not now, thank you, Roger. I want to be alone. I've got my cape of sorrow on. You steered me through choppy seas, and you whipped out the oars in a flash. You handled the equipment with perfect ease, but dropped me with quite a splash. Any port in any storm was my philosophy. I thought your love would keep me warm. You kissed me on the cheek, then you were gone within a week, I think it was. Oh well.
Drop me like a brick.
You dropped me like a brick.
Drop me like a brick.
And I was looking forward to spending some time with you.
Drop me like a brick.
What have I got to look forward to now? Just quiet evenings at home with the dog.
Drop me like a brick.
Just the one dog now since you've
Drop me like a brick.
dropped me like a brick.
Drop me like a brick. Drop me like a brick. Drop me like a brick. Drop me like a brick. Drop me like a brick.
Yes, I think we catch the drift. Thank you very much.
Drop me like a brick.
The backing singers are just rubbing it in now, I think.
Drop me like a
How long can you make the word brick last? Thank you. You all right, Russell?
Fine, thank you.
You bearing up under the strain?
Very much so.
What do you want to do when you grow up, Russell?
I want to have your babies, Julian.
I make him say that. He's obliged to say anything I want, really. It's in his contract. I'll give you an example. What do you think of me, Russell?
I think you're absolutely wonderful, Julian.
Oh, thank you. And in your own words, Russell,
Sure.
how will you ever repay the debt of kindness that I've shown to you?
Well, you know, quite frankly, Julian, I don't think I'll ever be able to repay the debt of kindness that you've shown to me.
You see what I mean? It's a boon, really. I think everyone should have a pianist. I had to put a clause in Russell's contract recently, though, forbidding the promotion of heterosexual values in my presence, because... You were flaunting it, I'm afraid, Russell.
Brazenly,
Brazenly, shamelessly,
indeed.
mooselessly.
Very much so. Yes.
Very much so. Yes, that is Russell's catchphrase. It's a bit late in the day now to start coming up with your catchphrase. Wouldn't you say, Russell?
Very much so.
That's right, yes. See? No point in having a catchphrase if you're not going to use it. Right? I went away recently. I went to Thailand, to Marrakesh, which is very nice, very friendly people there. A little bit over-friendly, perhaps. I was just walking down the street, and this boy came up to me, and he said, "My trousers are all wet for you." Well, you don't know how to react, do you? I said, "Well, I'm sure they'll soon dry out in this heat." He followed me for a fortnight, this boy. This damp patch followed me around town. And one day I was just going down to the Medina. Is it the Medina?
The bazaar, I thought it was, isn't it?
Going to the shops, anyway. The Arndale Centre in Marrakesh. And I saw this delightful Moroccan table. So I bought it, which is the shortened version of events. I'll give you the longer version. I said to the little man, "How much was that delightful Moroccan table?" And he said, 7,000 dirham. I said, "Well, I'll give you 3. And we came to some agreement over the course of a fortnight. So you can understand, I was very pleased to have it in my possession. And I got it back to the hotel, followed by this damp patch. And the day came to leave, and I got it to the airport, followed by this damp patch. I left him at the airport. I like to think he's still there, in fact. The grass growing green underneath him from all that moisture. And then I arrived at Heathrow with my table, and that's where I saw the sign saying, "Do you have anything to declare?" I thought, well, I have got something to declare. My table. So I went through something to declare, and I said, "I've got something to declare." And there was a very officious man there in his uniform, and he obviously didn't like the look of me, and he started to question me. And he said, "You didn't come into contact, did you, sir, with any nasty substances while you were over there in Morocco?" I said, no. I was too stoned to leave the hotel most of the time. It was foolish to joke, really, under the circumstances, because he questioned me more and more, and in the end, I quite lost my temper. I said, "Leave me alone." I said, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean nasty substances? Do you mean like sperm?